Hello everyone, welcome back to online repertory training course. So, as a part of this year's program, I'm going to present something about understanding a remedy or a group of remedies and their concepts through repertory. So, before to that, I would like to present one of my case with which I'm going to reveal the concept of that particular remedy or a group of remedies. So, myself, Dr. B.V.S. Geneswara. So, it is a case of depression and lack of confidence. Before to narrate about that case, I would like to say something about the idea of depression and lack of confidence. Generally, it is caused by some unmet basic needs of a person's life with some external factors which are beyond their control, with faulty thoughts which we may call them as delusions, causing the sense of shame, depression, anxiety, and they can be at times a major factor in personality disorders such as narcissistic personality disorders and borderline personality disorders. Having low confidence is not that someone's fault. It's the result of external circumstances and faulty thought patterns that they feel real. That is what we say the delusions. Even when it's someone thoughts that contribute to the lack of confidence. The lack of confidence is because of how someone thinks about and someone perceives about the things with which they are going. So here is a case of a mechanical engineer. He is 23 years old. He came to me in 2017. At that time I prescribed something which partially helped him, and I did the retake in June 2018 once again. This case went almost for 3.5 hours. This guy is very timid and very slow and low speech, so low that I had to time and again ask to repeat what he used to say, that much low, and very hesitant. It looks very thin and tall, very soft spoken as well. I had to convince him time and again to speak about. So it's a long case. For brevity, I shortened it down, and I'm going to present the salient features of that case only, the excerpts. So he says, if I had to do anything new, need to check it in different sources like Google or ask anyone who knows about it. I will take the information only if I find it correct, or else I try to refer them from somewhere else. I went for an interview. They asked me some questions I knew, even though I knew the answers, but I couldn't answer. Suddenly I get blank and freeze. After a while, after thinking, I got some better answer to those questions asked, but I couldn't answer at that time. At times I would think I can give much better answers. He also says, since childhood I am very inquisitive about knowing. For example, I would see and think of telephone and how it is working and functioning. I was more interested in biology. I was curious, more interested in science rather than in mathematics. I was not that aware the topics of earlier classes are not connected with that of the next class and its curriculum. I wouldn't show that interest to remember all the earlier topics. Earlier, I would be by hearting the topics instead of understanding them. And nowadays, I'm trying to understand a bit, and my ambition is to excel and make in whatever I do. I used to scare off my parents, especially to my mother. I wanted to study in residential school as my friends were there, but I couldn't dare to express it to my father. I had to ask my sister, younger sister, to tell it to my father. Actually, I wanted to join where my friends got into. But my father joined me in another place. Of course, that was also a good one, but my friends were not there. But I couldn't express it to my father. I just continued there. I used to have inferiority complex. I didn't have any freedom. I didn't have any freedom to express myself. My choice not been cared. I used to get annoyed because I couldn't express it. My mother used to be very harsh with me. She would beat me up. I don't know why. I didn't have any choice of my own either. I would go with my whatever has been told to do and done my friends. My friends wanted to join for IIT coaching center at one place. But in plus 2 my father took me to another place and said this is also a very good one. I adjusted. As I was not that interested in mathematics, I wanted to join biology and then medicine, but I couldn't express it to my father as he wanted me to settle as an engineer. As my father is a doctor and my grandfather and my father's brother also doctors, as a tradition I wanted to become a doctor, but I was not that clear about my thoughts. There wasn't any plan of action. And then I joined the institute suggested by my father. But by the time I'm in second year of plus 2, I could able to realize that it's not the best institute which I wished for. I depressed a bit. I wanted to change, but then I thought, at this juncture, if I change, that could be more difficult as the pattern of teaching might get difficult for me to get adjust. And finally, I continued there itself. And then, after plus 2 also, there again confusion, which one to choose. Even after getting into the engineering college admission also, I was not that satisfied. I could have done much better with good grades and much better college. I wanted to get into IITs. Somehow it didn't happen. So I made up my mind to go for GRE or TOEFL. And by this period, he was on a remedy that helped a bit. For coaching of GRE, I had been to Hyderabad for a while and I had to stay at a hostel as per my father's advice. But again, there I felt very restricted by the warden and there was no freedom. And then somehow I came out of the hostel and stayed somewhere else. There I had to make a choice between GATE or GRE or MS. I would procrastinate to make my choice. I got a chance in campus interview in a firm, but I did not like it and I rejected the offer as well. And then I went to some other interviews also, like Infosys and other. I was selected in written tests, but when it comes to the group discussion, I would get anxious and try to skip it out of fear and failure. I was very nervous. Even I have tremendous stage fear. Even though I know about the topic, there is some fear of being judged by the people over there. Then gradually I understood it is as my problem of communication. So even I was very limited with my friends as well. Old friends were been somewhere else. I have a problem of not being able to mix with the people readily. I take time and I am a bit selective in this regards. I didn't show much interest to get into the software firms initially, as I made my graduation in mechanical and then I made up my mind. But there is always a deficiency in making or difficulty in making my communication. I couldn't decide between to go for a job or to continue my studies. It was always like I went with someone making me my choices as I felt I totally into them. There are so many options, but I couldn't make choice of myself, which I have to go for. But whatever I do, I take time to get to the details. I need freedom to make my decisions independently. I want to explore things I'm on my own. I would get dreams of driving a car very fastly on my own, and the road is getting narrowed down, and I am becoming completely cold. And also dream of some weird creature all around me, and they are pressing me, shrinking me all around, and I am getting freeze and cold with panic and fear. I get perspiration of my forehead, extremities, especially at my palms and soles, while I am nervous. I would always think what people will think about me, what impression they will have about me. Hmm? I don't get angry easily. Even if I do, later I regret about it. But generally I don't. At times when I get angry, I just hit the wall or punch. There were some instances during my childhood. My mother used to be very strict with me. She would beat me up frequently. Many a times I didn't understand why. I used to look for my father, but even he is there, he would never support me. I used to feel very helpless not getting any support from him. There used to be quarrels between my parents which I never liked and I felt alone. Gradually I stopped expressing my opinions in my home. I always felt my father is always angry with me, but I wanted to get motivated from my father, but that didn't happen. He would speak in his accord and never cared about my opinion and choice. At some point, I myself wondered, do I have any choice of mine or not? I would weep alone, but I never expressed to it my father, as he may get upset. So, this is the case in short. What I understood about this case is there is a need of bondage to be identified and recognized. When something happens to this bond, there is a feeling of losing their identity. And to avoid that, clinging to the relationship, like father, friends, wherever. And there is a complete dependency on the support system, on one to one bond, and no capacity to stay alone. That is why he is very choosy about the friends. He couldn't contact with many people, very selective, very much isolated with himself only, very selective. And on the other side, there is polarity. I am clear about what I am. I want to do this. Who I am without impression of others. What will people think about me? I need to keep up to a particular standard to maintain the relationships that I need. My father will accept me or recognize me only if I will be an engineer. That kind of thing. And this is the analysis of repertory. And the rubrics I selected are mind concentration difficult, mind confidence want of self, mind mental exhaustion aggravation, discouraged, dreams ghost specters, grief silent pent up, introverted, work aggravation mental, taciturn, indisposed to talk, dullness, mental exhaustion aggravation, indecision, irrelation action. natrum carb, natrum silicata, pulsatilla, natrum all comes. My initial prescription was, I thought at that time, he don't want to express his choice because of getting rejected. That is why I prescribed him magnesium silicata, which just touched him a bit and didn't help much. Now, after going through the retake, I could able to understand this is uh, much trivial than this, because it belongs, like he says, do I really have any choice of my own? And that is the idea of natrum and feeling of being alone, weeping alone, all these things. And I choose. And from John Scholten we have in natrums impulsive relationships, changeable contracts, vulnerable, lack of perseverance, withdrawn, alone, lonely, closed, silent. This is one side. And the other side is very much stubborn, like about image and relatives, opinion of the relatives, family image, father, the situations at home, very much timid, and he has to stand very stubbornly, the monomania, and family minded. So my prescription was natrum silicicum 1 m. So after natrum silicata, he went for the GRE and TOEFL exams very successfully and went for MS in Dallas, USA. And by the time there was COVID, I think, he got a beautiful job over there in an MNC company, and he is working there. In total, he had 4 doses of natrum silicata. So he recently came to India for a visit. I asked him for a testimony. So this was the testimony that was given just 2 days ago of recording this video. This is what he posted. He said, I gave my best to condense my thoughts about how it felt before and now. Here's what I believed changed. I used to overthink, even to express trivial things. Now, even though I think a bit, I'm able to express myself confidently. I used to curse why some things are not the way I intended them to be. I am more optimistic and understand that no matter how much I think, every situation is unique and people react differently. I'm more forgiving and feel better now that I don't regurgitate them. I was anxious to do small things and overthink about outcome of situation, which made me anxious and hindered me to take initiative. I have changed this outlook and am more confident that even if things go wrong, I can handle them. So with this, I am going to present something about the silicates. So this is the periodic table. The basic idea of silicates is they are at the center of the periodic table, the 10th column. Unlike the left-sided sodium, magnesium, aluminum, and right-sided phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, and argon, they are the first ones after sodium and magnesium, aluminum to come out and stand on their own as the precursor of silica, the carbon says. Will I be able to stand on my own or not? To get the identity to get the nourishment of my people. So these are few inputs from Dr. William Gutman, very nicely put out. In order to attain form, something must be shaped from within and closed from without. The form is maintained by its ability to resist influences from the outer world. Therefore, formative power is presumably bound to the most resistive substance. It is assumed to be the strongest in the development stage where the formative power is needed the most. And also he says, what the silicates mean for the earth is the connective tissue in man. It is the most widespread of the body tissues, having the function of giving organs a shape and resistibility. And truly, the analysis shows that no connective tissue exists without silica. The dura mater, the ligaments, the fasciae, periosteum are particularly rich in it. We find it again in the surface, in the skin, in the hair, and in the nails and the sheltering capsules of the organs. And also, without silica, the ligaments holding together the outer framework are very weak. The joints, therefore, are disposed to sprains, and the ankles may turn easily. The ability to build up a strong human form because of the lack of silica power diminishes his capacity to transform the food elements to body tissue. In spite of a good appetite as a natural reaction to overcome his weakness, he cannot gain. The final result is a poor, undernourished, lean figure. We might have to look for it in the tissues which give form and resistibility. They are the surface, the stalk, the trunk, and the supporting tissue. And in fact, we find silica in the stalks of plants, in the cell membranes of their epidermic tissue, in their hair of the leaves. This is all from William Gutman's. Now, from this we can understand that the deficiency of silica causes deformities in peripheral bones, in skull. It reduces cartilages and interrupts collagen production. What all this mean? The structure has to stand out on its own. That is the idea here. It thus disrupts the mineral balance, the structural glue holding body together. Wants to be on their own, the first step, very rigidly, very firmly. Generally, these people, they come from a background where their family did not give that much amount of support or little support with which they seek. That is why they say, even in that case also he might have gone through, I did not get enough from my father, not enough support from my mother. From this, the idea comes, I have to do it on my own. In third row, we have silica, the first one, as I told you. First on their own, they have to stand. Unlike the left side substances like natrium, magnesium, alumina. Natrium, they totally don't have any choice of their own. They have completely dependent on their support system. They say, you do it for me, you choose it for me. I don't know what to do. And when it comes to magnesium, they say, okay, I need a support system. So I don't disclose my choices. If I do, my support system may go away. So I need the guide or support system to do with. To care, to take my care, to nourish me. And this is my identity. So they do not express their choice. In alumina, it is totally confusion to do this or to do that. But as it comes to the silica, it has to come out. So they try to do on their own. I need to stand on my own erect so that I can face the world. This I need to become rigid, firm, and stubborn. Generally, for the Silicea people, there is a constant argument between the parents. Gives feeling of not being supported and protected. And since they are very much into internally, they gradually start developing and independently on their own. There is a feeling of something lacking and missing. They try to make themselves perfect. There is such a lot to do in this world, and they are very small for it. That is the thinking they have, because the row itself says they are into the identity for themselves, nourishment for themselves, care for themselves. So they don't have kind of very larger things to do. They uh, confine themselves for very small things. They limit themselves to very much into the things which they are doing only. They try to master over there, and they can only do is a fraction of it, and that is very much important for them to make that a teeny fraction at their best. Whatever they do, they try to get into that and do their best. And the difference of polarity, for example, if you consider in pulsatilla and silica, pulsatilla people are very much pampered right from the beginning. But suddenly, at some point, they have been exposed to something which is raw, and it is very sensitizing them. Whereas in silica, there is nothing was there before. I had to be on my own. But pulsatilla, it was there, but suddenly missing. So what to do? This kind of thing. The Silica people are very much defending type of personality. The issue of developing identity on their own. There is a poor energy like the precursor of carbon. Due to poor energy, they have poor tools as well. Very weak, lean to see, and speech also very low. Everything. They say, I'm in a bad environment and I need to defend myself. Let me be in my own domain and own limitations. I need to be good in my specialty and try to be good in it, more precise and more refined in my domain because of the limited resources I have. There is a stubbornness. They don't openly revolt but sticks to their opinion, very much convinced against their will, but the same opinion still. And the fixity of thinking, what we call the monomania, and the stubbornness, the difficulty in accepting things from outside, and the violence against everything goes against their fixed ideas, all find their expression at the physical level in the form of asthma, intolerance of vaccination and foreign bodies, and also strong chronic defense against them. This is from Dr. Shankaran. And that is why we have a beautiful rubric, generalities physical vaccination aggravates. If you see the Shorten's repertory, see so many uh, silicas are there. Number of silicas. And also the rubrics like mild yielding disposition, mild admonition aggravation, anger irascibility, mind contrary. These are all symbolics of the stubbornness, the fixed ideas and all. Very much obstinate, forsaken feeling, beloved by his parents, wife, friends, feels not being, egotism, self-esteem, obstinate, headstrong, rigidity, in general it is coldness, lack of vital heat, memory weakness, loss of, labor for mental fatigue from. They seek generally their friends, then friend circle around them, they selective, very much selective. Like they should be the weaker ones, the friends are, because they want to be satisfied themselves that okay, I can be something, I will be something with these people. They do not look for the people who are more to them. To the contrast, if you see, Calcarea will seek for a stronger partner to support them, as it belongs to second column and fourth row. They always want a guide, and Calcarea needs them as a mentor, guru, a protector, a savior. And if you see the dance between, if the remedy is Calcarea silicata, one side they want support system, and another side they stay away from the support system to get their own. The silicate people, they make a map to everything they do, very calculative and very precise also. They look for word of kind of excellent, want a dignified identity. Here we can make an idea about the word excellent. The Palladium people, the row 5 people also seek for the same. But in Palladium the difference is they look for the appreciation for the creative work they do. Here is about the recognition about their identity. Even if we consider the pathology, this gives some idea of being rigid, fixity, stubbornness, the keloids, the suppurative changes, the glands hardness, the fistulae and all, the adenoids. The other side is very timid and fragile about their image and yet to have stand out. Very timid, very fragile, but they look try to look themselves firm. And the idea is to face everything without losing their composure and change their stance. That is why we have ideas fixed, awkwardness, timidity, mind timidity, timidity ailments from timidity alone of being, timidity bashful and awkward, timidity children with other, timidity public about appearing in, timidity public about appearing in talk to. Silica people are very much stubborn, as I expressed, but not that over smart, because they know how fragile they are. Because once exposed to the things, they become very docile and fragile. They know their limitations and stubbornness also. If they've been forced, they will say you, you can't force me to do the things. That kind of thing they will say. Because of fear of failure, the essence of embarrassment, the stubbornness comes to the alive. They don't want to go through the embarrassment situation. always. They try to stay away. That is why if they have to make a presentation in public, they just try to avoid the things. And this they will say, please, I can't do that. One side there is firm, courageous, rigid, and other side there is fragility and timidity and anticipation. Here we can compare with the stage fear of lycopodium. In lycopodium, the stage fear is about, it is a matter of ego, a fear of loss of face. But for Silica, it's a matter of communication. Will he be really able to express what he really wants to? A fear of being unable to find exactly the right word. That is why the rubric mind mistakes making talking in words. Mind action anticipation from Sholton. Mind ailments from anticipation. Ailments from examination, anticipation, examination before. Anxiety, anticipation from. Confidence, want of self. Failure, he is. Delusions, imaginations, failure, he is. Delusions, imaginations, fail everything. Fear of failure. Fear failure of business work in. Undertakes nothing lest he fails. Dr. Shankaran says, there is a great precision, great calculation, great exactitude, but with little feeling. They will do very meticulously. They don't talk anything, just do the things which they have been asked for, because they want to make it perfect to their level. Everything neatly marked, but without conveying anything new, no imaginations. And that is why we have the rubric mind conscientious about trifles. So by and large, the basic idea of silicates, in my understanding, there is a need to be firm and rigid in the face of attack. The attack is not physical, but it's area in which they are not comfortable, and you push them. And they drop the exam till they prepared fully. The fear is losing the image and credibility, being not up to the mark. So, I thank Dr. Rajan Shankaran for inputs in structure and soul of remedies and substance of remedies. I thank Dr. Shekhar Algundi for his inputs of salt remedies. And I also thank Dr. Jan Scholten and the Synergy Homeopathic Software, and Dr. William Gutman, and finally my friend and my teacher, my motivator, Dr. Ganesham Kalathia, for giving me this wonderful chance to express myself and my viewpoints on this regards. If any queries, you can contact me. So, thank you all once again.